Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Wednesday, January 12th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we have a new national champion in college football, Chris. You enjoy the ball game, Alabama, Georgia?
First half was really brutal to watch. Second half was really exciting football.
It was exactly what you used to maybe expect from a Nick Saban and Kirby Smart team, right? Like that's what that football game looked like early. So it was ugly, 9-6 at the half. We will, of course, break it down. We will get to Georgia wins, of course, 33-18. We'll talk about all that here in just a minute. Let me go on and do the rundown right quick. WinningCuresEverything.com. That is the website. Go visit it for us. Every clip, every segment, every show, everything that you need about us, that you would like to know about us, you can find over on the website. It's very easy to do. Also, if you would so kindly, make sure that you are subscribed to the show, whether it be podcast, YouTube, Twitter, all kinds of different things. Go ahead and take advantage of all the different platforms. I think we're on Twitch as well. A lot of different places that you can catch the show. But podcast certainly helps out. YouTube certainly helps out. Those are our big ones. So go ahead and subscribe to those. I host the BetUS College Football Show. We do a show now that we are into the offseason every Wednesday. So if you would, go ahead and look in the description. There is a link. You can subscribe there. And the show, Winning Cures Everything, is brought to you by BetUS. It is where the game begins. America's premier online sportsbook. Tons of great deals, bonuses, etc. You can find them all over at BetUS.com. Again, there is a link in the description for that. Chris, Bama 18, Georgia 33. Kirby Smart finally gets the monkey off of his back. What were your initial impressions of the game that happened on Monday evening?
I thought Georgia, when you look at the game as a whole, I really thought Georgia just dominated the whole game, which is exactly what everyone expected to happen for the SEC title game. And we didn't get that. And so everyone kind of didn't really know what to think. But we saw 12 games of resume from these two teams. And this game looked like the full season incumbency. Georgia was dominating the best team in wasn't close, and Alabama struggled when they played a really good defense.
This is true. This is true. There is a lot that happened in the game that likely changed the script. At the end of the day, Georgia was significantly the better football team, and they have been for the majority of the season. Sans that trip to Atlanta, which we can talk about the Atlanta curses and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we got the Braves a title. We got the Dogs a title now. Hey, how about this question? If you could have, like, if you're a Braves and Georgia Bulldogs fan, would you rather separate them out or just go on and get them both at the same time? Like, if you are guaranteed you're probably not going to get another one of these for 10 years, which obviously we don't know that, but if you couldn't get it for 10 years, would you rather have Atlanta win one, like, next season and Georgia win one this season? You know, that kind of stuff.
I don't even know how to answer that question. Like, what does it matter? Like, both you're a fan of two teams and they both won a title. Like, would I rather, the Dogs not won it this year because I'm still living off the high of the Braves, and so therefore, can they win it 2 years from now when I feel, worse about my Braves team? Like, I don't even know how to respond to that.
It's something I just literally thought up on the spot, but I was like, man, they got both of them. Both teams felt like they were cursed for a long, long time. Bulldogs fans, 40 years. Braves fans since 1991.
No, you can talk about the Bulldogs all you want. The Braves were not cursed by any means. And the Braves have operated like a small market franchise for the last 20 years, which means you're only going to have one or two shots every 10 years to try and win one if you're going to operate like a small market franchise. The Royals went all in, won a title. Not even close since. The Indians went all in, got close to winning the title. Not even close since. Like, this is how baseball works. Baseball is big boys are in it all the time, but don't always win. Small markets can win, but if you're not going to be in it every year, then you've only got one swing at that apple, and that's it. And you can't operate the way the Braves have operated and expect to be in. That's not cursed. That's not snake bitten.
Okay, well, then let's talk about that as it relates to Georgia. We're going to flip it around just a little bit. Can Kirby Smart continue to operate the way that he built the team this season with a quarterback like Stetson Bennett and continue to, yes, he will compete for championships. Can you expect to win championships going forward if you don't do something with the offense?
Well, first off, why do we work under the assumption that he's not going to do something with the offense? Do we think that this offense is going to look exactly the same next year? Like, Kirby Smart is doing what Nick Saban has done, is doing what you're supposed to do, which is top 5 recruiting class, and really not top 5, top 2 or 3, every year, after year, after year, after year. So, yes, he can do it again because he's going to have more talent than everybody else.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily wrong there. The reason I bring it up is Stetson Bennett can come back and play next season, and how odd would it be to take the first national championship winning quarterback in 41 years at Georgia who is still on the roster? And because remember, they tried to do this with Jake Fromm, or didn't try to. They kept him around maybe longer than they should have because he was what was best for the team at that point, they thought. I'm just curious which direction they're going to go with it next year, but we're not worried about that right now. Obviously, we're going to preview all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about some of the things that happened in the game. First off, this game was violent defensively. It was so much fun to watch. If you are a defensive fan, I think like you and myself, yes, it can be brutal when they are not scoring touchdowns, etc. But the chess match that was going on between these two defenses, pre-snap, especially pre-snap, trying to figure out where the pressure was going to come from, who was doing what in the back seven. It was really, really interesting to see what they were doing. What Georgia did was just try to limit the explosive play, and it worked. What do you think the biggest play in this game was? It, I guess the biggest thing was actually Jameson Williams going down. But from there on, what would you say was the biggest play in the ballgame?
Well, I don't even know if that's the biggest theme or the biggest thing that Jameson Williams went down. That offense wasn't moving very well with him, okay? Yes, he had the biggest play that Alabama had the whole game, but he had one, and he didn't go down until, middle of the third quarter. Early second quarter.
Yeah, he played less than 20 minutes of actual game time. He had 4 catches for 65 yards already. Bill O'Brien had found a way, even though Georgia, you could tell early, was keying on him, they still were able to get him open multiple times, and he was the most experienced receiver on the team, right? Okay. Biggest play threat.
At the end of the day, scoring touchdowns is what matters, and Alabama couldn't do it. And while he was on the field, that red zone defense locked them up and bottled them up. I don't know that changes a lot. Now, I'm sure everybody in the world is going to say it does. You replace him with another 5-star. Okay, it doesn't matter. So I think Georgia in the second half getting the run game going and just smash when they couldn't run it at all in the first half. I don't know what they did in the locker room to figure it out, but the offensive line was blowing Alabama off the line when they were run blocking, which is very different than pass blocking. And they were making holes, and they were gashing them, and they were going on long, sustainable drives over and over and over again the entire second half. I don't know that it's one big play. That's the most important thing that happened. And then in the fourth quarter, when Bama was down real bad and they needed to come back, it was that defensive front that was getting pressure on Bryson all day long, but they weren't getting home a lot. Oh, they started to get home. He started holding the football just a hair longer, trying to make the perfect throw, and he was getting hit after hit after hit after hit, and just the wheels came on. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah, with Jameson in the game, they went down. They kicked a field goal at the Georgia 28, and that was with 12:35 left. Yes, that defense was getting home. I think Jameson going out kind of flipped the entire game script, right? I think that's the biggest thing. One, this reminded me a lot of the Texas A&M game. You have to get home at some point in the red zone, right? Or not even in the red zone. You just have to score touchdowns instead of field goals. On these 4th and shorts, you have to go for it and trust your defense, right? If you, I know the way that the game was going, they were just trading field goals, especially in that first half, but you have to understand at some point that you are going to have to score a touchdown. And if Alabama were to get up, I think the biggest play in the game was the Latu catch, right? Latu had the long pass reception going down the sideline, and Keely Ringo chased him down, which, as a defensive back, chasing down a tight end, you should be able to do that. But stops him at the 8-yard line, and then Alabama has to settle for a field goal. At that point, they score a touchdown there. They are up by 10 points. Georgia does not have the luxury because that ended up, I think that's the one where they kicked a field goal. It might have been the one that got blocked. But that blocked field goal was also insanely huge. It kept it where Georgia could still run the ball in the second half, right? That's the biggest issue that they had in the first game, is that Stetson Bennett threw the ball damn near 50 times in the first game. This time, in the second half, Stetson Bennett threw 6 out of 9 in the second half. They got back to running the football because they weren't behind. That was the biggest difference in this to me. The difference, by the way, with Bryce Young having Jameson Williams on the field compared to when he was off the field, Bryce Young was 9 of 13 for 104 yards when Williams was in, and that's 11.2 yards per catch. Without him, 265 yards, and if you take out the Latu pass, that's the biggest thing. 26 out of 43, 265 yards, 8.6 yards per catch. I mean, it's a 3-yard difference when they have Jameson Williams in the ballgame, and it's not all to Jameson Williams. It just opens up so much more when he's in there, right? Because Georgia didn't respect anybody else that Alabama had, and with just cause. Because, good gracious, Ajay Hall and Jaleel Billingsley and all these different guys that were dropping passes, etc., it was a train wreck. And there's a reason that these guys haven't been playing all year, and it's because of that, because you can't depend on them in that spot. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't get there eventually. But last night, biggest stage you can be on, they were not able to do it. Let's talk about Stetson Bennett right quick. The running game obviously was the biggest thing going for Georgia, and the fact that their defense turned the ball, or got the turnovers, of course. But this is massive for Stetson. Like, when Stetson Bennett can throw the ball out of where he doesn't have to throw the football. How's that? Like, I think that's the biggest thing for him. Georgia's offense is insanely good and incredibly efficient whenever they are not coming from behind, right? We saw Stetson multiple times try and press a little too much. How did you feel about Stetson and the way that the offense performed, especially in the second half?
I thought he played well. I thought, especially in the second half. In the first half, he looked, his first two drives, obviously, he just looked shell-shocked. He looked like he was just not prepared at all mentally for what was coming. And he just was, the nerves were just visible. You could see them with your eyes, how uncomfortable this was for him. And so, I thought it was going to be a long night. He figured it out. He collected himself. I think that says a lot about somebody, man. That says a lot about a person. To have ice water in your veins and to never feel that fear in the situation, that's one thing. And that might be a gift, and that might be confidence, and that might be swag. There might be a lot of things that go into that. But to know that you look like a bumbling idiot in front of the whole world, and know that you're the reason your team is falling completely apart in front of the whole world, and then to be able to collect yourself and to write that, pull yourself out of that quicksand, that's an impressive thing. That says so much about him, I think, as a person. And, forget the ability to play football and is he the best quarterback and are there guys that are going to be better than him start later? None of that matters. All right. I'm going to tell you this. Nobody that hits Georgia's roster next year that will throw the football has that in them because so few people in the world have that in them.
Yes, I actually tend to agree with you quite a bit on that. He stepped up when he had to, and no, as far as talent and just God-given ability, there's not as much with him as with some other quarterbacks that they could possibly get on the roster. However, I don't know that anybody could be a leader the way that he became the leader of that football team. I think that was the biggest thing is you could tell the entire team seemed to rally around him. And it was kind of shocking because I don't know that I saw it from them. And, I mean, Chris, I don't have to tell you, I've watched every Georgia game from middle of the year on, just trying to get an idea, like a sense of exactly what this team is, especially leading up to the playoff. And I don't know that I really saw that out of them until really late in the year. Like, it seems like he really took this on once we got to championship level. How do you feel about that? Like, what do you think it could have happened there to get everybody to rally around him that way?
It just got better. I mean, he just put the work in. You can't fake that kind of stuff. And his teammates see that. You can't hide it. When you're the first guy in every day and you're the last guy out and you're doing your part, knowing that you're the weak link on the team and everybody else sees that, it's impossible to not be drawn to that. It's impossible for that to not be a magnet for you. Yeah.
I can see that. The ratings are out, and they literally just popped up as we're recording. 22.7 million viewers average last night. It is obviously it bumped up 4 million viewers from last year's record low, but it is still the second lowest in the playoff era. So, I mean, not even close. Excluding 2021, Georgia-Bama is the least watched title game since 2005, and that was USC-Oklahoma. About what we expected. I mean, you said it I think last Friday, you said, like, this will not be highly watched. I mean, it's still a big number. 22.6 million is not awful, but, not what you would hope for. Can we say that?
No, yeah. I mean, that's done. That's given. Like, it's just not what you want, but it's what's going to happen as you're getting, the teams that you're getting and the fatigue that you're getting. So I'm not saying that it's anybody's job to manufacture parity, but it wouldn't hurt, to find a way to get other people in there.
I would imagine on Friday's show we will talk more about the college football playoff situation that's going on, because it appears to be a complete cluster. It is a disaster that's going on with them. I don't really have a ton of other notes on the game. Like, obviously, we could deep dive this really, really far. But is there anything else about the game specifically that you would like to bring up?
I mean, I'm trying to think without just dismissing so much of it, because a lot happened in the game. I'll tell you, when the interception at the end happens, and you just see Stetson just
break down crying.
He realizes it's over. He realizes all this hell that I've gone through, all this struggle that I've gone through to try to not be the reason my team loses. He realizes we're champions, and I'm a huge part of this. Like that's pretty unbelievable to watch. I'm not a Georgia fan. I do not like this team. I do not like this program, and I don't like Kirby.
But Stetson is easy to pull for. Yeah, he's easy to pull for.
Impossible to not root for him. It's just impossible. So
yeah, I tend to agree. As an Alabama fan, yes, it is very difficult to pull against that kid. I mean, it was just it was very, some of these championship games and whatnot, they can come across very Hollywood and whatnot. And when you do get one of those games, it is perfect television, all that good stuff. Honestly, last night for Georgia was almost perfect television. The way that game was going, Georgia rams the ball down Alabama's throat, and they go up 26-18. So there is still a a shimmer of hope at some point. And that interception return, with it being Ringo, and then getting to see Stetson Bennett on the sideline like that, it was awesome for those fans. Like I was, obviously disappointed for my team, but at the same time, you feel good for Georgia fans, right? This has been a long time coming. Georgia has been really, really close so many times. Determining factor in the game, I think, was early downs. EPA for Georgia on early downs, 8.53, negative 1.39 for Alabama on that. Alabama ran 85 offensive plays to only 56 for Georgia. That's insane. Like, they kept Alabama at 5.8 yards per play. I mean, that is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And Stetson didn't throw a turnover. Yeah. He didn't throw a pick. Like, obviously they did the fumble and whatnot, which was Houdini kind of stuff. Hey, let me talk about this. The referees in this game, it was an ACC crew. I was actually rather impressed with the way that they did, because when you see stuff happen during the ball game, it is tough not to blow your whistle, not to call this thing dead, to just let stuff happen, because we see plays that get blown dead all the time, right? Them letting the plays play out and then letting it go to review multiple times, which is what you are taught to do, I thought was really impressive. Like, they didn't make every correct call on the evening, obviously, but overall, like, I was fairly impressed with the referee crew.
Okay.
I take that.
I'm sure you were. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm certain you were.
Okay. Yeah. No, I thought it was well called. I thought it was a well called game.
And like I said, I'm sure you do.
Of course. Let's see. Most important plays in the game per game on paper. The most important play was, let's see. It says Bryce Young being sacked at the end of the game, but whatever. Let's see. Adonai Mitchell, the 40-yard touchdown pass from Stetson Bennett that was on that free play. That was huge because Georgia's win probability before that play was 38.2%. Their win probability after was 63.7%. That one play that Stetson took a shot on was awesome. Like, that was a hell of a play. The second biggest play was Stetson Bennett being sacked by Christian Harris and fumbling the football. And so I guess as far as an analytic standpoint, you agree with those two being the two biggest plays?
Well, one of them was a real play that actually happened, and the other one was a complete and utter farce that didn't happen. But that's fine. Yeah. The most important play that happened for Alabama was a play that shouldn't have happened. So, yeah. That makes total sense, by the way.
The next biggest play was for Georgia. James Cook, his run for 67 yards to the Alabama 13, which allowed them to get into the end zone. Cameron Latu's run his pass for 61 yards down to the Georgia 8. See, that's the one that you have to score on. I don't know what you could have done against that defense if you're Alabama.
I don't either.
That's the biggest thing. Like, everybody wants to be all over Bill O'Brien. When you don't have Jamison Williams, and you don't have John Mechie, I don't know what you do at that point. I mean, you're down there, the field shrinks. It's like everybody just forgets. It's so much easier when you have so much space, because then you can get your athletes out in space. You can find ways to get them the football. You can't do it when the field shrinks down there towards the end zone. And Georgia's defense is so fast. I mean, like I said, this game was violent. I mean, both of these defenses hit so hard. It was just unbelievable. All right, we can hop off of this. Let's talk right quick about the two early top 25s that have come out already. I'm going to read off some of these to you because I've done the composite already. The 10 biggest. Here, let me give you I guess a list of exactly who I've got in this, because I averaged them all out. We have got Let's see. We've got The Athletic, Pat Forty over at Sports Illustrated, Brett McMurphy at Action Network, 247 Sports, ESPN with Mark Schleybaugh, RJ Young over at Fox Sports, Athlon Sporting News, Dennis Dodd at CBS, and On3. All right. Here is the top 25. Let's go through the top 5 as far as their average. Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, A&M 4, number 5, Clemson. A&M and Clemson up kind of high. How you feel about those two?
A&M, I think, is probably fine there. There's no chance on earth I'd have Clemson at 5.
Are you worried at all about Elko being gone from A&M, or do you think that the talent level has risen so much and DJ Durkin coming in is going to be good for him? I just A&M at 4 just seems a little high. Of course, when you look at the rest of the list, I don't know exactly.
I think DJ Durkin's a really, really, really good defensive coach. I don't think they're gonna lose any sleep over that.
You might be right about that. Number 6 in the aggregate in the composite here. Notre Dame at 6, Utah at 7, Michigan 8, Baylor 9, Wake Forest in your top 10. Any of those feel like maybe they might drop back a little bit?
No, I kind of like this bunch, and I would have all of these teams. I know it's going to make me sound like an asshole. I'd have all of these teams over Clemson.
I kind of tend to agree. Clemson lost their
I think
offensive
I would
and
have
defensive
Clemson
coordinators
between 15 and 11. I think that's a fair, honest, real assessment of that team and that program. That is giving a lot of credence to the talent they have, because I don't know that I believe that you could just replace Brett Venables with a guy, okay? Because that's what they did. They replaced him with just a dude.
Yes. I mean,
they didn't go out and get a DJ Durkin.
Yeah. They just got in-staff guys that they're hoping they learned enough when Brent was there to make it work. So let's do 11 through 15. We've got Michigan State at 11. I mean, they're losing the wide receiver. They're losing Kenneth Walker III. Lost a couple of guys off the defense, but they are kind of restocking through the transfer portal. I don't know that you can do that long term, but we'll see.
I think you can. And the problem is how many people knew Kenneth Walker III's name before this year?
Agreed. I mean, they hit a home run with that.
That's somebody. But yeah, but I think some of that is Mel Tucker. He's a really good coach. He's a really good worker, and he's building something there. He's having to do it through the transfer portal because he can't recruit at the level that he needs to. And that's fine, but I just think Mel's going to be fine. This isn't going to be based on the athletes. I trust Mel,
and that makes sense. Number 12, Oklahoma State, 13 Oregon, 14 Arkansas, 15 Oklahoma. Initially I thought, okay, Oklahoma, that might be a little high with them completely. They've got a bunch of guys in the transfer portal, but they're also getting a lot of guys in. And when I realized, okay, they got Brent Venables, and they do have some talent on defense, he might be able to whip something up there. And he brought in...
they're going to look very different.
Very different, but also he brought in Jeff Lebby, and Lebby brought in Dylan Gabriel. So, if Gabriel is anything like what he was at UCF, I still think Oklahoma's going to compete for the Big 12. I think they're going to be just fine.
They're going to be in the conversation. Yeah. No, I think Oklahoma's just fine. The one of those bunches that I would actually be more concerned about is Oregon.
Most certainly. And for me, Oklahoma State has kind of been a product of Jim Knowles here lately. It has not been the offense that they've been winning with. I'm curious what they look like on defense without him. We'll see. But Oregon for sure at 13 is, you're bringing in Dan Lanning, really young first-time head coach. I know that his defense just won a national championship, but again, we've said this on the show so many times. Trusting a head coaching position to the guy that does the same thing as the guy that he was coaching under, like Kirby Smart is the one who crafted that defense at Georgia. It was not Dan Lanning. That's not to say Lanning isn't a good coach. I just, I wonder about that one.
Well, yeah. Well, it's he's unproven. How many great coordinators have failed out as coaches? It happens all the time. It happens every year in the NFL. It happens every year in college.
And it might be why Brent may not be super successful at Oklahoma. We don't know yet, right?
Yeah, there's a world that happens. That's right.
Number 16, we got NC State. We got Iowa at 17, Wisconsin 18, Houston at 19, and then Kentucky at 20. All those sound about right.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably bump NC State up. I think they're really good. I think they're bringing a bunch of guys back. I would probably bump Kentucky up a little just because I've grown to where Mark Stoops is in that world where I just trust him.
Well, and they got a lot of young defenders. They're bringing back Will Levis. Yeah, they do lose Wan'Dale Robinson, but they got both of their coordinators back. Brad White is going to stay there. Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator.
How many times have we said Kentucky is going to hurt because they're not the factory that everybody else is, and they're losing this guy, they're losing that guy. And you know what? Losing those guys didn't matter, and they just found a way to replace them. Like, at what point do they start getting that level of credit that LSU and Georgia and Auburn get for, well, we lose guys every year, but we just roll new ones in?
And that's the thing.
Like, when do we realize Mark Stoops is doing that?
When's the last time Kentucky was even ranked in a preseason poll? Really? Like, I do not remember.
Probably never. Never. But therein lies the problem with all the preseason polls.
Exactly. And yet, here we are. I mean, Kentucky's in they were in every preseason poll other than Dennis Dodd's. And they ranged.
I've only seen one of these lists that you named off out of all the people that you're given the aggregate for. So there's going to be one glaring team that I think is left off this team that I think is a top 15 team and has the potential to be a top 10 team. So.
All right, let's roll through 21 through 25. Cincinnati at 21, and they lose a ton, man. I mean, just a whole bunch off that team.
And they might not be done losing. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you're not wrong because we don't know that the coaching carousel is done yet. So we'll see what happens.
So coaching carousel is definitely not done.
Yeah, we got to see what the NFL does as far as FBS spots and whatnot. Cincinnati's offensive coordinator is obviously the new LSU offensive coordinator. We hadn't talked about that one yet, but we'll get there. We got plenty of time after all the season stuff is done. Tennessee at 22, BYU at 23, USC at 24, and Ole Miss at 25.
Okay. So the team the one list I saw, BYU was not on it. And I thought, well, I think that's not just wrong. I think that's big boy wrong.
I tend to agree. They've got a lot of guys that are coming back next year, trying to, and obviously you can't do this based on their schedule, but the schedule was helpful this season, right? I'm curious what they're going to look like going forward.
I think they're going to look like a team that's really tough to beat.
So, yeah, this next year, they've got at USF, they host Baylor, they play at Oregon, they've got Wyoming at home, Utah State at home, Notre Dame on the road, Arkansas at home, at Liberty, East Carolina, at Boise State, and then they close with Dixie State and at Stanford. That's a hell of a schedule.
No, it's an unbelievable schedule. But I'm just telling you, I think they're a really good football team, and none of those teams are going to be glad they're playing.
I know, you certainly got that right. You have certainly got that right.
I'm not saying they're going to win all those games. I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated. But that's going to be a team that could easily have 3 losses, and everybody's saying, man, they're still a top 10 team.
I'm curious what Ole Miss looks like without Matt Corral next year. Like, I'd imagine they're going to be just fine.
I am. Okay. Our definitions of just fine are different. I think, the loss of DJ is big.
Yep.
And I think the loss of Corral is big. I think Corral is the best quarterback they've had since Eli Manning. Yes. I don't think you just replace that overnight with nothing.
Agree. Now, obviously, transfer portal, all that kind of stuff. Like, there are still guys out there that could maybe fit.
They're not going to be bad on offense. But, man, I love Lane. It's not a knock on Lane. This is a rotation of talent at key positions, which are the quarterback, the most important position on the field, and your defensive coordinator, which is a big deal since that is a place you have the least amount of actual talent.
Yes.
So
yes,
therein lies
USC being at 24, I think that's one that that by the end of the season could be ranked pretty highly. If Lincoln Riley gets Caleb Williams, like that could end up being a big deal. So USC schedule.
Yeah, I mean we're all
tough.
just assuming that's all on Lincoln Riley, right?
Yes, 100%.
That's just 100% all Lincoln.
Oh yeah, I mean USC was not in 3 of the different polls, and they ranged anywhere from number 5 all the way down to 25 in the ones that they were in. So their rankings were 13, 23, 22, 25, 21, 14, and 5. I mean, people are just all over the board with them. And I get it, because they got talent, and now you've actually got a coach there. I think it's going to be a little bit before they end up being like a top 5, top 10 team. But could I see them ranked in the top 15 at some point this season? Like maybe at the end of the season? Yeah, absolutely. Like the Pac-12, it is gettable.
I need to see Lincoln Riley in a situation where he might have to reload. This might not just be we're a quarterback away, and if we get Caleb Williams, everything's fine. I don't know how much talent they have on offense across the board, talent-wise, offensive line, that kind of stuff. I don't know what their defense looks like. Not that I've ever expected him to have a good defense at all. I'd be real careful before, because he took over a machine that was fully loaded at
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Oklahoma. And now he's actually having to do a little bit of rebuilding. There's a world where the cupboard's fine at USC. That world might be real.
I think it could be fine.
I don't know that.
I think it could be fine enough for the Pac-12, right? I mean, they're out of conference foe that is the biggest issue is Notre Dame every year, and they've got a new head coach. I'd imagine Notre Dame will be perfectly fine under Marcus Freeman, but again, first-time head coach, young guy. We'll see, what ends up happening with him. But looking at, let's see, USC's schedule for next season, they open up with let's see. They open up with Rice. They play at Stanford. They got Fresno State, which is not going to be an easy thing. Jake Hayner's coming back to play for Jeff Tedford. They play at Oregon State, Arizona State at home, Washington State at home, at Utah, at Arizona, Cal, Colorado, at UCLA, and then Notre Dame at the end of the season. I mean, they could have enough talent to win 9-10 games out of that. I mean, they're obviously they could also. I agree with that,
but winning 9 or 10 games ain't top 25 team.
Yeah.
If you're a 9-win team in the Pac-12, you're not in the top 25.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there. I don't think you're wrong. Let's let me read through the rest of these that received votes in one poll or another. Pitt was number 26, Penn State 27, Miami 28, Texas 29, LSU 30, Minnesota 31, Coastal Carolina 32, Purdue 33, Fresno 34, Florida 35, Kansas State, Air Force, Nebraska, South Carolina, and UCF all basically had the same average there. So
wait a minute. Was UTSA anywhere in that?
UTSA is nowhere in that.
Wow.
So they lose several guys.
I think they're bringing aren't they bringing almost everybody back?
No, they brought pretty much everybody back this year. Sincere McCormick is headed to the NFL draft. I think he was kind of the face of that team.
Yeah, they're losing McCormick, but I thought he was the only big loss.
Let me check. I don't know that Frank Harris is coming back, but we'll see. Along with that, I think they lose several guys on defense, and I think they lose a couple of offensive linemen. For the most part, yeah, I think like the big names that everybody knows, I think, let's see, he was a redshirt junior in the 2020 season. So, yeah, Frank Harris was a senior this past year. So he might have a COVID year, maybe. But according to where he sits, as far as his eligibility, it looks like he's out. So they'd have to do a new quarterback, et cetera. I trust Jeff Traylor to have a good football team, but
I do too. But if they were bringing everybody but McCormick back, while McCormick's amazing, my feelings on running back.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
I feel like a great coach will find somebody that can do what he does, or kind of replace him in the aggregate. They'll find a couple of running backs that can kind of equal what he did.
The only Mountain West team that got a single vote was Air Force. and they were number 24 in Brett McMurphy's poll. Like, that's the only Mountain West school that actually got a vote.
Disrespect for the Mountain West, baby. They were probably the 4th or 5th best conference in the league this year.
Yeah, you were not wrong about that. I think that's a big thing that people overlook when they do these early top 25s. They just don't pay attention to, somebody is going to be good from these G5 schools or from these G5 conferences.
Well, not just somebody. Look how many teams were good in the Mountain West this year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, go look at the Mountain West's record against the Pac-12 this year and tell me the Pac-12 is a Power 5 team. With a straight face, honest as can be, go look at those records and tell me you think the Pac-12 is better because they played it on the field and they didn't equal better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
And if you throw BYU in that, it throws the numbers way the hell off.
Oh, yeah. And of course, like BYU in at number 23 here, that makes sense to me, right? Like BYU is a really, really good football team, but they don't play a Mountain West schedule. Like, I lied. Fresno State was ranked number 22 in Brett McMurphy's. They are a Mountain West as well. Okay. So Fresno and Air Force were the two that got them. Like, and no San Diego State.
I was going to be shocked that nobody watches the Mountain West in this damn and these people cover the sport.
It's shocking, isn't it? It really is.
They only do it for a living, Gary. I mean, I know I have high standards, but
it's ridiculous.
It's not like they're a pot smoking moron that does it from his attic studio one day a week and then talks on the phone 2 other days.
Yes, I agree with you. You ready to talk about the NFL playoff games?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into these. The wild card playoff round, and we will start. We've got 6 games this weekend, which is different than the usual 4. Of course, they expanded the playoffs. Last week in our picks on all the big games, I went 3-4. Chris went 1-6. And I don't have the thing pulled up. By the way, we both went 2-1 on our super contest picks. All right, here we go. I've got the actual gambling numbers up. NFL picks on the season. I am sitting at 66-70, and Chris, you are 50-77. As far as the super contest picks overall, Chris, you ended 35-37-3, and I ended up 48-41-1. So I only had one push, and that was that ridiculous Jets-Bills game where the Bills scored late. Just ridiculous. So we're going to pick every game. Let's go ahead and dive into it. The Raiders and the Bengals. The Bengals are a 5.5-point favorite. Total is 49. The odds brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. This game is interesting. It's Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Central on NBC. You look up Football Outsiders, total DVOA, Cincinnati number 17, Vegas number 21. These two teams played not that long ago, and the Bengals just ran them out of the gym, right? I mean, that just ran them off the field. I kind of feel like the same thing might happen here. Cincinnati, strong advantage on special teams, number 8 versus number 21. That Cincinnati offense, while not super consistent, has the ability, especially against this Vegas defense, to hit some major explosive plays. And I don't trust Las Vegas to be able to do that. I don't think what they did against the Chargers is going to work against the Bengals. Going on the road here, especially, short week, going from Sunday night to the early Saturday game, man, I'd kind of like the Bengals to cover the 5.5 here.
Yeah, I do too. I think this has potential to be the most exciting playoff game of the weekend, by the way. I really do. I think the Raiders will show up. I think it'll be fun. Here's the thing. The Raiders don't play normal football games. All of their games are weird. All of their games turn out weird and a little crazy and kind of exciting. So I think this has potential to be the most exciting game of the weekend. And I still think the Bengals will cover.
Yeah, 5.5. I mean, if it was a touchdown, I might feel the other way, and the numbers would actually tell you that this line should be closer to 4. But the fact
I thought every one of these lines were way bigger than they should be, by the way.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that you're wrong, but I obviously somebody is going to cover as a favorite, or at least we would assume that. My gosh, in the playoffs in the past, the Dogs have.
Remember a couple of years ago when it was nothing but dogs?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Remember when I went undefeated in those playoffs?
Yes, I do. Actually,
I remember that
just
too.
took basically every
I
dog.
just wanted to see if you remembered.
No, we. I believe that was the year that we closed out the conference championship stuff by doing like a live show down in Tunica. So
that's right.
Yeah. Back when we could get away with doing all that kind of stuff, right? Before pandemics and everything else. So we both like the Bengals minus 5.5 there. That will move us over to the Saturday evening game, which is an AFC East battle. And 7:15 p.m. CBS, the New England Patriots travel to the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen and the boys favored by 4 points. Total sits at 43 here. If you look at raw numbers again, which obviously that's not the only thing that plays into it, but you look at these DVOA numbers. New England's number 4, Buffalo number 2. Buffalo's offense is number 10 against New England, the number 4 defense. New England's offense is number 9, going up against Buffalo's number 1 defense. Special teams is a wash. I just think 4 is too much. Like, this feels like a field goal game, and I'm going to ride with the Pats here. I understand they got the more inexperienced quarterback. I get that. But I don't know what I'm getting week in and week out from Josh Allen. And when I don't know what I'm getting from one quarterback, now don't get me wrong, Mac has had his he has shown his flaws, especially in that game against the Dolphins. You also got Christian Barmore that looks like he's going to be out for this game, etc. There's things that you could maybe pick at with the Pats, but I tend to trust Bill Belichick more than Sean. I just went blank. What's his name? Sean McDermott. Thank you. I'm going to ride Pats plus 4. I just think it's too many points.
So I think these two teams are a lot alike. The Bills, when they are on, are far. Their ceiling is substantially higher than the Patriots' ceiling. When they are playing great, they are the far superior team than the Patriots.
Yeah, they can blow anybody.
But both of these teams have potential to play like complete dog shit. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And they both have potential to play really, really good. With that being said, I'm with you in the sense of there's a world where we get the Josh Allen that lost to the Jaguars, that just fell asleep at the wheel a couple of times this year, and they just got beat. Remember, these two teams have played each other twice. They are 1-1 against each other. Road team won and dominated both games. And so, I'm not saying that that's a stat or correlation. The weather will obviously play zero factor into this because both of these teams play in the same kind of climate and atmosphere. I'll take Bill and his experience in the playoffs, and I'll take just the coin flip that there's a chance that I'm going to get a shitty Josh Allen. And if I get a shitty Josh Allen, even if the shitty Patriots show up, this is going to be a field goal game.
Yes, most certainly. That's exactly how I feel about this.
I also believe this game has potential to be one of the most boring games of the weekend.
This could be Alabama-Georgia first half kind of game, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Me either.
All.
Me either.
That's good for the Patriots. It's bad for the Bills.
Exactly. It all plays into Bill Belichick's hands on that one. Moving on to Sunday, we have got 12 p.m. Central Time on Fox. The Philadelphia Eagles, led by one Jalen Hurts, heading to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bucs are favored by 9.5. The total sits at 49 here. Look, 9.5. Like, the Bucs have not exactly been covering machines lately, and I don't know what that necessarily means. You talked about all the different receivers, all the weapons that have been out for Tampa here lately. We're in the playoffs now. Like, I would trust Tom Brady and whatnot, but I get the feeling that this might be a little closer than you would assume. I got the numbers on this. Philly is number 15 in overall DVOA. Tampa Bay is number 3. The Philly defense, it shows on the season, number 25, but they have been playing better than that here lately. Last weekend, of course, notwithstanding. I like the Philly offense. I think it's going to give Tampa Bay some fits. I think the Eagles can cover 9.5. I don't think they win. I don't think there's any chance that they win. But I do think they can keep it within 9.5 here. I don't think this is the one that Brady and those boys are pointing at. So I think there's a way that Philly can get back in there and keep this within 10.
All right. So you talked about how their defenses look really good. I'm about to read off their last, several teams and scores. The defense gave up 16 points, 10 points, 17 points, 18 points, 13 points last 5 games. That's incredible. Nobody broke 20. Yeah, those teams were the football team, the Giants, the football team, the Jets, the Giants.
Yeah, okay. That you do have a valid point
give
there.
Give me the Bucs. Give me the cover. This Eagles team is very much I'm going to use this phrase with another team later. We beat the hell out of bad teams. We really struggle against good ones.
That's, you're not wrong. You were certainly not wrong about that. That's interesting. Going and looking at the Bucs schedule, which they're 13-4. To close out, they beat the Jets 28-24. They beat the Panthers 41-17 and 32-6 in the last 3 weeks. They beat lost to the Saints 9-0. Beat the Bills 33-27. Beat the Falcons 30-17. Yeah. All right. So you're going to take the Bucs on that, right?
Yep. I just think there's just far more. We're now in the playoffs. This is where I'm picking talent in coaching.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
I got a first-year head coach and a very inexperienced quarterback going up against the most experienced head coach outside of Bill Belichick in these playoffs, and the most experienced quarterback on the planet.
The game that I believe will be the ratings monster this weekend, the San Francisco 49ers heading to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys are a 3-point favorite here. The total sits at 51. Dallas number 1 in overall DVOA, San Francisco number 6. That San Francisco defense is number 7 overall. The San Francisco offense is number 5, but that Dallas defense, number 2, and the Dallas offense is number 6. So Dallas, of course, overall DVOA, number 1 in the NFL. And they're favored by 3. Now, the numbers would have you believe that this really should be closer to 1.8. But I think I'm going to ride with the Cowboys. At home, San Francisco, I just don't know what to expect from them on offense week after week. I know last week, Jimmy G showed up, had a good game. They upset the Rams, won the game in overtime, all that good stuff. Mitchell, the running back, had 21 carries, 85 yards last go-round. But I trust Dallas this go-round. Maybe that's more to do with Dan Quinn than anything else. But Micah Parsons, everything that Dallas is doing, I like what they're doing. So I'll take the Cowboys to cover the 3 here.
San Francisco will not just cover; they are going to win this game outright. Boom.
That is a far cry from what you were saying about them just last week. What changed your mind on them?
The defense looks unbelievable. I think Dak has looked really bad through huge sections of this season. And this defense is not going to be one where I think he's going to have the ability to feast. I also think they run the football incredibly well, which will slow down those blitzing linebackers. Also, I believe the best 2 players on the field are Bosa and Debo. At no point in time do I believe Alabama will. Do I have to believe that the Cowboys will have the best player on the field?
Yeah. Okay. I can get with that. I'm looking through the Cowboys schedule. They have only got, let's see, 1, 2. Wow. They've got 3 wins over playoff teams, and the Eagles rested.
And 2 of them are the Eagles.
Yeah, 2 of them are the Eagles.
And one of those are the Eagles where they didn't play at all.
Yeah, they didn't. They just played backups.
They rested all starters in week 17. All right, 18.
So they lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Broncos.
They lost to every playoff team but the Patriots and the Eagles.
The Bucs and the Cardinals. Yeah, that's kind of second guess. You know what? I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go. I'll ride Cowboys, and I'll let you ride 49ers. But you did make me question that. So we got two more games to hit right quick. Let's go on and knock them out. Sunday, 7:15 p.m. on NBC. The Steelers headed to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 13-point favorite. 46.5 is the total. It's kind of a low total to have somebody that's favored by 2 touchdowns. But we have seen this Steelers offense. They are not exactly anything to write home about. Total DVOA. The Steelers are number 24 overall in the NFL, and yet they somehow made the playoffs. And Kansas City is number 7 overall. Kansas City's offense, number 3, against Pittsburgh's defense, number 14. And Pittsburgh's offense, number 25, against Kansas City's defense, which is number 24. I'm going to ride Steelers plus 13. It's a playoff game. I feel like Najee Harris has been able to run. That is the Chiefs' weakness. But obviously, I don't feel great about this. I just, in a playoff game, 13 points just feels kind of crazy to me. But could I see Kansas City winning this game, 30-13, something like that? Absolutely. But I'll take the Steelers here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs, but you're right. Laying 13 points. When I saw this line, first off, all I wanted to do was I couldn't wait until Ben got in the playoffs because I was just every year there's one terrible quarterback that you get to bet against in the playoffs, and it's free money. And it's been free money for, 15, 20 years. I mean, just every year it's free money. Just take the worst quarterback in the playoffs and bet against them. You're going to win money. And then I saw the Vegas had the line at 12.5 opening up, and I thought, holy crap, they are not just letting you take free money this time. Now, they are making you work for this one. I'm still going to do it because I just think this Chiefs team could score 17 and cover the number.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
Defense has been surprisingly amazing lately.
No, they certainly have. They're number 20 in rushing DVOA. They're number 23 in passing DVOA. I don't know. I've seen so many teams be able to run on them. In Pittsburgh, while I don't know. I'm looking at Pittsburgh.
It's really hard to run on them once you get down 3 scores.
Yeah, no, that is a very good point. That is a very good point.
So all those teams that ran on them were in really close football games. And if this is a close football game, I've lost already, so it doesn't matter. But if they're going to run on them, they're covering this number. The problem is what do you do if you give up 3 unanswered to start the game?
Yeah. No, you
Are you just going to say, well, we run the football here in Pittsburgh, and so we're just going to keep running it, knowing that it means we can't come back?
I mean, you do have a point here. You do have a very good point, because if you go down 2 touchdowns quickly, you are in a whole mess of trouble because the whole game's great. It's kind of what I talked about with Alabama and Georgia. If Jameson Williams stays in that game, Alabama goes up by 2 scores. Georgia doesn't have the ability to run the football, right? And it could be the same thing here with the Steelers because their defense is not exactly anything to write home about either. So I'm not going to change it.
It's a big number. It might be the biggest number in playoff history, okay? I haven't done the research on that to look that up, but I can't remember seeing many double-digit playoff numbers, much less almost 2 touchdown playoffs.
Well, that's the biggest thing. Like I'm sure that we've had like some 10-point favorites, especially in wild card rounds.
But
13 is such a massive number. I think just based on principle, I'm going to take the Steelers.
Yeah,
but it might just
principle alone says you should not make this bet. But
yeah. No, you're right about that. All right, so I'm going to take the Steelers here. We'll move to the final game.
And that has potential also to be the boringest game of the year.
The Monday night game or the Sunday night game?
No, the Steelers game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Al Michaels has to be hating his guts right now as soon as he saw that game wasn't going to be a tie.
No, you're not
Al
wrong.
Michaels is just he's just figuring out a way to get out of this right now. Like, can I get the Omicron? Can I just stay home?
Can I just stay home? Like, I don't want to watch this. We already know who's going to win this. I mean, he gets to call a game with Patrick Mahomes, I guess. I mean, maybe that's worth something.
Yeah, but that only carries you so far.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The Monday night game, 7:15 p.m. Central Time, ABC, ESPN. The Cardinals heading to Los Angeles to take on Sean McVay and the Rams. Rams are a 4-point favorite. Total sits at 49.5. Rams, of course, both the Rams and the Cardinals closed out the season with losses. So now the Cardinals are on the road, and this seems like it could be a pretty good ball game. Both of these teams have been a little all over the map this season. The Cardinals lost to the Rams back 5 weeks ago, and the Cardinals beat the Rams in week 4 of the regular season, 37-20. 1-1 against each other. J.J. Watt's playing now, I guess. When you look at the actual numbers on this, the Rams should actually be favored by more than what they are currently. I think if I've got to choose a quarterback to ride with on this, I mean, it's going to be Matt Stafford. It's going to be, Cooper Kupp, the wide receiver, that is just blown up receiving yards records this year. He's got almost 2,000 receiving yards, like just bananas. I am going to go with the Rams, I think. You look at DVOA numbers, and it's like, to me, it's not even really close. Arizona's number 10. The Rams are number 5 overall. Arizona's offense all the way down at number 15, and that Rams defense is number 5. I think that the Rams defense is going to show up here. I'm going to ride. I'll ride Rams -4. It's over a field goal. I think the Rams can win by a touchdown, maybe more.
Yep. Nope. I'm 100% with you. If you look at Cliff Kingsbury's resume, all the way back, even going through college, but in the pros especially, hot starts, hot garbage. November, December. Never played in January before. Finally playing in January. Don't expect him to get better now than he did then. It's like he's able to game plan together that teams aren't prepared for a couple of weeks and ride that out. But as soon as teams get enough film on him, he just gets figured out seemingly easier than everybody else. And there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, the last...
He doesn't know how to adjust. Kyler's not good enough to do something miraculous to pull them out of it. Like I said, I've said it before. I've heard Bill Simmons coin Kyler the new Mr. October, and that's not good in football. But that's what he is. Because in October, he's the best quarterback in the game. And come November, he's mediocre at best. And that's a problem.
They started the season 7-0 and finished 11-6. Now, obviously, Deshaun Hopkins out for the season, all that good stuff. But it's not just one guy. Obviously, they were never able to figure things out after that. You throw a loss into the Lions there. They finished the year 4-6 in their last 10. They were 1-4 in their last 5 weeks. Now, one of those was at the Cowboys, but they lost to the Rams, they lost to the Lions, they lost to the Colts, they lost to the Seahawks. And that's just in the last 5 weeks. I mean, they got destroyed by the Panthers at one point. Now obviously that was Kyler Murray did not play, etc. There was a lot going on there, but regardless, I don't think the Cardinals are a very good football team. So,
nope.
So I think that there's a reason why you and I both like the Rams minus the 4 here. These total DVOA numbers that make Arizona look like a decent team, that's over the entire season. I need to pull maybe some more numbers and see exactly how bad they've been in the past however long. But
I guarantee you, if you start the numbers in November and just say how have they been recently, or not even. I'm not just saying like a week or two. I'm talking like
last
8
6
games.
weeks.
The last 8 games or 9 games. of the season, not the first. Like, how do they equate? I'm going to tell you, I'd be shocked if it wasn't just god-awful.
Yeah, I'm sure you're probably right. I am sure you are probably right. All right, we both like the Rams here. Let's give a quick recap on this. We both like the Bengals covering 5.5. We both like the Pats covering 4. We split on the Eagles and the Bucs. I'll take the Eagles plus 9.5. Chris is going to take the Bucs minus 9.5. We are separate on the Cowboys and the 49ers. I like the Cowboys, and Chris thinks the 49ers win outright. Steelers plus 13 for me, Chiefs minus 13 for Chris, and we both like the Rams to cover the 4 there. We have gone over an hour. Is there anything else you feel like hitting on?
No, bro, that's it.
Let's go ahead and get out of here. I'll go ahead and let you go, and then I'll wrap this thing up.
See you, bud.
All right, be good, buddy. All right, so that was Winning Cures Everything. We certainly appreciate everybody being here. You guys are fantastic. Of course, the college football season has wound down. We have no more games to discuss. Obviously, we will get into the Senior Bowl. We will get into all of the different all-star games that are coming up leading into the NFL Combine, then into the NFL Draft, etc. But yes, the games are done. The season has a bow on it. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs for a just fantastic, fantastic year. Stetson Bennett, the mailman, getting it done. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. For Chris and myself, go over to BetUS. They bring you the show each and every time out. BetUS is where the game begins. It's America's premier online sportsbook. Make sure and check me out on the BetUS College Football Show, Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Go ahead and check those out. The Too Early Top 25, all that good stuff. All these different segments will be cut up. They will be on the website. So go ahead and check those out over at winningcureseverything.com. And with that said, we will see you all again next go-round. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And hopefully all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share